Hi guys, Rhonda Winstead here with you. It is fabulous to be here with you, let me tell you. The last couple of weeks have just been awful. Not awful, just not good. I've been down. For those of you that are following me and have been with me for some time, you know that I'm dealing with some icky old cancer going on. And for those of you that are new to my channel, I hope that you will just jump right in. I'm glad that you're here. And yes, I am battling with a bit of cancer going on, but I'm not down and out. And I fully intend on making more videos and sharing what I love to do with all of you. So, okay, so I have been kind of on a little bit of a journey, if you will. One thing with not being able to do much of anything, excuse my nose is itching, and not feeling good and being down most of the time, and honestly not feeling like I could create anything and just too tired to even lift my hands almost. You have a lot of think time, and some of it isn't good think time, and some of it is. But I've just been doing a lot of reflecting on our community and the journaling that we love to do or not do. You know, we're all in such different places in this eclectic junk journal world. And there are a lot of people that will try to define what that world is all about and try to define the journals that we make and what constitutes a junk journal, a true junk journal, or something that you wouldn't necessarily use junk. You know, there's all kinds of ways of making journals, and everybody has their own way. Everybody has their own style, or should have their own style. And that's one of the points that I kind of want to focus on today with you. This isn't a tutorial. This isn't a how-to. This is a talking video and showing and discussing the world of journaling and what it means and how do we define it and what works for us, to try to help you as I'm helping myself to find out what it is that I really, really love about it. What are the things that maybe I don't want to incorporate with mine, and how to continue on. Because honest and truthfully, you can get lost in the YouTube world of journaling. You type in junk journal and you've got a bazillion videos that you can watch, and it can get confusing, to say the least. And if you are new to it, it can be really like mind-boggling. You know, what do I do here? How do I play by the rules, or do I play by the rules, or are there any rules, you know, etc., etc. So what I thought I would do, and I hope you'll indulge me with this particular video, I will have more how-to videos in the future, but I am just getting back on my feet right now, and so I'm limited, and this has really been on my mind, and so this is something that I really want to talk about, and the hope is that it's going to help me be a better journaler or recorder of my journey, whatever that looks like, and that by watching and hearing my process and some of the things that I've done and have adapted and, you know, through the past several years, that maybe you'll hook into one thing or something that you're like, you know, maybe that's a thought. Maybe that's something I should think about in your own journey. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take you through a bunch of my journals, if you will. So let's just get to that, and we'll just kind of talk as we go through it. At the time that I looked into journaling, well, I've always felt like journaling is important. I've grown up, you know, that keeping records and your ancestors are important to you, and documenting those things. But I've been a hit and miss journaler, and I've done the, you know, just, you know, the notebook where you just journal, and it just, those are so blank. Those pages are really scary, and I've been hit and miss through the years with that. So that's kind of, I mean, I might go 3 or 4 years and I didn't write a thing, and then I'll try to do a catch up, and then I might not write again for another 3 or 4 years. That's kind of the way I was. But I felt it was important. Okay, moving on to around, maybe about 2014, 15-ish, somewhere in there. I had been quilting for many, many years, and quilting is an avid love of mine. But I had gotten to a point where I had literally well over 30 quilt tops unfinished. I mean, the top was done, but they needed to be quilted. And I didn't have the space or the money to be able to get that done. And so I started working on smaller ones, and was just at a point where I was kind of burned out on it, because I felt a lot of guilt. Okay, I felt a lot of guilt about those unfinished tops sitting there, and I couldn't talk myself into making more for a while. So I was just, I guess, surfing the internet or YouTube, and thought, well, you know, let's just check some things out. And that's where this was the first journal that I had made that I used from someone else's video. And I cannot tell you, at that time, I didn't realize that it was a good thing to, you know, to record who does what. And so I can't give credit to anybody. But I learned to do a hidden spine, and it wasn't stitched in, it was all done with double-sided tape. And I had this thing with brown paper and paper bags. And so this is a journal that I watched this gal, and I did a lot of what she did. And it's thick and chunky, and it's got lots of texture, you know, and I think it's pretty. As I look back on it, I like it, but it's not practical, and it's not a journal that I would ever use, you know. But it was fun, and it was just a good experience. So anyway, excuse me. And here we've got buttons. I mean, we all know how much bulk, and so you've got a good, gosh, I've probably got 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch, you know, just in my embellishments and whatnot. And so I played with scrapbooking paper. I had a ton of scrapbooking paper. I also at one point was into scrapbooking, along with the quilting. You know, a lot of times we do not just one thing. I dibbled and dabbled in a lot of different things. So anyway, just continued, made that, and I loved it, and it was wonderful. And then I'm like, well, what the heck do I do with it? So it's just a pretty book. It's just a pretty book to look at. And that was it. Then I just started kind of looking around and seeing what was out there. And I discovered Rosemary Morris and joined a couple of her Facebook groups. And it was she and people in that group that got me into actual junk journaling as using junk. This is a chicken pot pie Marie Callender's cover. And so I had a lot of fun, guys, using envelopes and washi tape, and I mean literally paraphernalia from places that I ate, putting down leftovers, and it was just so much fun. And I absolutely enjoyed it. I loved it. And yeah, I just just it's fun to go back and and take a peek here and oh, just look at, I started using a little bit of fabric in my work and a little bit of sewing. Just I guess this is just a glue book. I didn't know what glue books were at that time, and here we've got literal paint samples and the dilly bar. So I did use, the junk, and I had fun using that. Now, a true junk journal is technically, I guess, but who cares, right? Is something that you use your things that you would normally throw away, and you use them instead to make art, and to make a journal. How could you think I ate that? Oh, it's so cute. Anyway, but this I consider a true junk journal in that sense that it was literally made from, leftovers and that kind of thing. So it's also just a fun one to, to look at. And in the meantime, I also was a member of an art group where I thought, well, I'll try my artistic endeavors a little bit. Let's see, I'm trying to find the right journal that I started with. And I'll tell you, it's not easy because honestly, oh, it's over here, just a sec. I've been all over the map, and it shows in my journaling because I'm not consistent at one thing. And you've seen videos, those of you that have followed me for a long time, that I've not been consistent and that I've done a whole bunch of different things. This beautiful granddaughter, she's on a mission right now, and she's just as beautiful and even more so than she was here. So this one, I started to do a little more artistic, and tried to incorporate a lot of different elements, but also I would put in things of my family So these are my grandparents on my mother's side. These are my grandparents on my father's side. So this one has a little bit of everything in it. It's got a combination of magazine cutouts and you know, things that I found on Pinterest or wherever. And I might as well just take those because they're not staying. But look, I even, I love Dolly Dingle, and I did a whole thing on Dolly Dingle paper dolls. And so there's my paper dolls, and then here, mixing it up, picture of my dad in the mountains and just writing about that. And that I grew up in the mountains, and this was very much country that I was familiar with and loved, and remembering my dad. And I'm still in love with the paper bags. This is a paper bag, guys. And then beautiful grandchildren. So here I've brought in more of the art and still putting down some memories and whatnot. And and my try it, you know, I was pretty, not terribly artistic, but fun. And I did take art in high school. But anyway, so as we continue on through this journey, I started to I wanted to do journals that I could share, that I could sell. That was a important thing for me at one point. I still sell them occasionally, but not like I used to. Let's see. Let me find one where I was totally into what I was doing and creating my own style, if you will. And I know you've seen other videos of how people have, you know, how do you create your own style? What is your style? Etc., etc. And so what I did the other day is I opened up every journal, well, not every journal that I've made, but I opened up all of those that were in one of my bookcases. And I decided that I would write down, I would look at the elements of those journals that I have created, the art that I have done previously, to see what I've liked, what I did like, what I do like, what's the same, what's changed, etc., etc. So I can see from right now, 2022, what direction do I want to take. As many of you know, I started in 2022. I was going to do a journal with me on Sundays. And I kept that up for a few weeks, and then I just didn't feel it. I couldn't do it. And so I quit doing it. And of course I felt guilty. Just a sec, drink. Keep the water coming. Drink water, guys. It's healthy. Where was I? Oh gosh. Hopefully I can get this all in without boring you too terribly much. Total brain fart. Sorry. Okay. Wanting to make journals to sell. And what is your own style? What is your style? And I sold a bunch of these, and so I don't have really the first journals that I created to sell, but I have some that that were in that framework that I will share with you. So I have always been a less is less and more is good. I love layering. Absolutely in love with layering. That whole aspect of what to put down. Paper, the feel, the touch, the texture. Oh my goodness, absolutely. And this is kind of reflected. This obviously is a Christmas journal, and I obviously wanted to bring in my love of quilting. These are all paper pieced, and each one of these blocks takes a good amount of time to create. So we've got kind of a padding, we've got lace on lace, we've got paper, we've got trims. Just, you can see that there's a lot. Sorry about the glare, I apologize for that. And images. Now, when I first started doing this, I did not use digitals. I did everything from, I found it, I either had it myself in my stuff, or I went on Pinterest, I went on free sites, you know, to find images and things that I liked to incorporate and print out pictures. I was kind of like, oh, well, a digital's cheating. And now as you know, I love Barbara's digitals and I adore Rachel's digitals, and I use them all the time and I make no apologies whatsoever. But this is my journey, right? I used glassine bags a lot, and I sell glassine bags. Well, I will again when when my store is back from vacation. I'm not quite at the point where I can do that just yet, but it's coming. It's coming. But look at this, guys. This is a typical me page. This is typical. We started with, I fell in love with sandwich bags, okay, as a medium for my journals. So I still love paper bags, brown paper bags, and glassine and deli paper, but I really started using the sandwich bags, and I layered them. I'm trying to see if I can count the layers on this. You've got fabric and paper and more fabric and paper and fabric and more paper and a bag on top, and And I also love this style of now I can't even think of the term. It'll come. But I like little bits and pieces to tie in. The I Spy. This isn't exactly I Spy, because technically I Spy is, everything is sort of separate. They all flow together, but they're all separate little dillies, little images and whatnot. So, this is gorgeous. This is gorgeous. I actually, when I was looking through this the other day, it was just like, and they take forever. This is Midori style, by the way, and that is a style that I love. Journaling, I think, is so much easier to record when you have a smaller notebook to write, and I'm left-handed and I write like this, and so it's awkward for me to try to do it in a journal. It's more geared for right-handed people. I don't know. Anyway, so I created places for the writing that's kept more separate from the frou-frou. Anyway, that's that's something that I've done and that I have loved doing. And I still love many of these elements. I mean, I'm just like, gosh, this is pretty. Sometimes when I look back, I'm like, I did this. I did this. And I can remember I'd watched a video. I don't remember the gal now, but she had these wonderful paper clips that she altered. And aren't those pretty? And see, that's something I didn't remember, because after a while, and you keep doing and you try new things, you can forget the things that you really loved that you did previously. So what I started to do was I started a list of the things that I had incorporated that I absolutely loved, and thought, I want to do more of that. I want to do more of that. I remember I love that. Now see, let me show you a difference of... Okay, let's take this one. And this is from my fabric paper. I made a sewing journal. And this is, this too is gorgeous. I love it, love it, love it, love it. And here, again, this shows the layering and the, you know, oh, just yum, yum. And I used the sandwich bags on this, okay? Now, when I first started doing these, I started doing notebooks in between my more decorative pages. And I believe these have pockets, or do they? Yes, they do. The sandwich bag, it's a big pocket there. So, the idea was this makes it easy, so you can just journal to your heart's content, but you can still have something beautiful. And if you want to decorate these as you go, you absolutely can. So it gives you lots of options. And when I did, this was one of the, well, it wasn't an early one, but when I did this one, this is the same idea, but you can see what I did was I played with a lot of different papers, and I was more decorative and loving just making this a little bit more interesting for me than just, you know, the notebook with the pages all the same. Okay, so, okay, we gotta, sorry, this is just, okay. Moving on. So I got into the art journaling thing, and you can see I still haven't stitched this together, and I'm okay, and I'm okay with that. But I started doing more artsy types of things. I started playing a little bit more. Here's my rendition of this image. They had weekly challenges, and I still used some of my junk, if you will. But this just makes me happy. I look at this and I'm just like, oh, these are so cute. Love the flowers. Just makes me happy. And then here again, this is my dad and my uncle. And my uncle was killed in the war, and this is Daddy visiting his grave over in Flanders Field before his body was brought home. And my uncle, my grandma never got over it, and I can appreciate that better now. Mom and Dad, when they were married, and artsy I played with all different kinds of calendars, and some in the whole thing, and some not so much. And this was graduation for a lot of people, and we got a lot of invitations, and so we sent out, you know, cards and things to people. And it's just fun to go down memory lane and see what kind of artistic things I did. And I took pictures of some of my artwork, some of the things that I had done. This is a memory quilt that I made. This is a section of memory quilt. And this is an art quilt that I sold, and wedding cards, and this was a journal that I sold, and just some fun. There's my picture. You saw the journal on that one. And this was my older sister, Vicky, when she passed. My darling Vicky, when she was a little girl. So I have their mom and daddy again. Got family history going on. I've got art going on. I've got, there's my grandma, and these are grandma's cookies. Secret recipe, but it's a family and recipe, and whenever family gets together, that's what they eat, grandma's cookies. So I did a bunch of these. And I'm not going to open them all. As you can see, I have been doing some journaling, even though it's not what I thought was proper journaling, and it wasn't cohesive, and it still isn't cohesive. What's this one? Just another one. I won't, and this, along the way, this is just a glue book. This is just a glue book. When I discovered glue books, it was just like, I need a glue book. I got to. This is so much fun. And it was super fun, and still loving the paper bags. This was an early journal that I made that I was going to sell, but I never did. And, you know, my style has changed since doing these. I mean, I was so in love with brown paper, and I still love brown paper. And as you can see, these are all the same. These are all the same. And it's stitched in. If it were Midori style, I would like it better because you could switch it out and you could put fun things in there and glue. But this is still fun. This is part of my history. This is my journey. So I also discovered bullet journaling. And at this time, I did a lot. I used a lot of 49 Dragonflies, her digitals. We watched Amity Bloom, obviously separately, but we were both inspired by Amity's bullet journal, and kind of took off on that. And I did bullet journaling for 2 or 3 years consistently. This is one of my favorites. And this was before I discovered, well, that's not true. Yeah, no, when I discovered Rachel, I had not really done anything like this. And this was absolutely, it's my favorite cover. Absolutely my favorite cover. And I discovered Rachel shortly after I made this. And it was just like, oh my gosh, that girl is after my own heart. Oh, love her. So then, of course, I had to go back and watch a ton of her videos from previous too, right? But in this one, I used the old pages, all of these old pages were from this book, this cover inside here. And this took an enormous amount of time. And I absolutely loved it. And I will never do another one because it just takes forever. Okay, so let's move to today. Let's see what we're up to more recently. And I am still struggling, my dear friends, to find the perfect way to journal, the perfect way to do things. But I have found that my other sister in February, when she passed, I have just, when I don't apologize for, love that. Love, love, love that. This is all Rachel inspired, you know that. And I still love the layering. I still love the fabric and, you know, the different things. I love so many things. And here is one that I have created to use, and I have done some, and I have many blank pages in this one. And I keep it Midori style on purpose so that I can take it in and out as need be. And then the kicker is, let's see, where is it? Where, oh where did my little journal go? And here is one that I use currently as well. This also is Midori style. And here again, I love mixing. I don't know. I don't know what my problem is. Or if it's a problem, you know. Okay, let's get back to let's get back. I don't know what your journey is, but I would recommend, if you're trying to find out what your style is or what it is that you gravitate to, start taking some notes as you're watching videos. Things that you like or that you don't like. Look at your work, and is there consistency? As I started to go through all of my journals and come up with, you know, my list, I'm like, some of these things I have not used in a very long time. And so, and that's a challenge when we watch videos. It's like a fine line, because we get inspiration. We absolutely are inspired by other people, and that's what's wonderful and amazing. But as we learn new techniques, as we learn different styles, as we see different things, and we're like, oh, I want to do that, you know. And I certainly am like you too, you know, I'm sure. I want to do that. I want to try that. Then what can happen is we can forget and lose some of the things that are really part of us, you know, that we don't want to lose. You know, some things we do want to let go, and we're like, oh, okay, that was fun. I enjoyed that. That was great. But I want to move on. And there's nothing wrong with that. So what I have done and what my goal is going to be, and you can help me here, and it would actually be helpful. It's kind of scary, but I would like for you, and this would be for those of you probably that have followed me longer than not, because you'll know me better. Not to say that I wouldn't appreciate the other comments too, because if you're new, I'm just so happy that you're here. You know, I love you too, and I'm sure we're going to have a great time together. But if you know what you think is my style or I'd like for you to just make some notes on this video, if you wouldn't mind. And just when you think of Rhonda Winstead and her artwork, you know, what comes to your mind? What, good and bad, you know, good and bad, and I'll take a look and see, and I'm going to compare it with my list, if you will, and see if I can come up with a little more cohesiveness, maybe, in my work. Always allowing to go out in left field, you know, because as artists, we can do anything we want. There are no rules, right? This is just kind of a guide. This is just a fun thing to do. And so my goal is to incorporate some of those things that I have forgotten, that I did, that I loved, and kind of go back through and regain that excitement and do those again. And keep that alive. And also some of those things that I have decided, yeah, to be okay with. You know what? That was wonderful. But I'm going to get rid of those supplies, those things, and let somebody else who's really in love with that right now, you know, have the opportunity to use those. I don't need to keep them if I'm not really doing that right now, or if that's not my thing. And if in the future I want to go back to doing that, well, there's always another thrift store, there's always Amazon, there's always something you can buy. Unfortunately, people are always willing to sell stuff. So not to worry about that either. Okay, so I think we're going to call that good. This has been way long. I apologize for those of you that prefer the short videos. But for those of you that don't, I'm glad that you stayed with me. And I hope that you will go through your thought process and just be a little bit, just be conscious, a little bit conscious of what it is that you're doing, and recognizing, I really like this, or I don't know why I do this. So-and-so does this and it looks great, but I do this and I'm just like, yeah. Well then, don't do it. All right, guys, I love you so much. It's so good to be back here with you. Oh, gosh, I have missed you. I have missed you. All right, till next video, have a fabulous day. Bye-bye now.